Welcome to Barchart's weekly series of webinars designed to help you, the trader, investor, better understand a variety of trading ideas and concepts, as well as the pages and tools Barchart provides to help you to make a more informed investment decision. Today's subject, Barchart's top stock page and how to use this page to finding probable candidates in a high price stock market environment. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. So it isn't difficult to see that the broader market indexes are all near or within an earshot of their all-time highs. Let me just slide this down here. This is a filter that I've created for this page. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And just a handful of percentage points away from their 52-week high or your year-to-date high. And certainly among traders, there's an apprehension about buying into all-time highs. But I'm reminded of an old floor trader adage that goes something like this. You can't make a new high without taking out the old high. Hello, my name is John Rowland, and today we're going to show you all about Barchart's premium top stock picks page, and hopefully give you a trader's perspective when it comes to picking stocks that are making new highs or are challenging their all-time highs, okay? All right, with me today, as always, is my partner and our moderator, Jean Baker. Hello, Jean.
Good afternoon, John. How are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Great.
You've told me in the past that our premium members, this is one of the most visited sites, and this is one of your most favorite sites, or excuse me, pages.
Well, yeah, the top stock picks, we get a lot of interest about top stock picks. Everybody's looking for the next best trade. They want to know, okay, what should I be watching? What can possibly break out? And this is one of the pages on the website that we like to send people to. Now, it does require a premier subscription, but I think you're going to show everybody today the value that you can get by visiting this page and seeing the data that's on it.
Excellent, excellent. Well, let's hopefully today we'll put some pieces together and really show how to supercharge this page for our premium subscribers. Okay, so for as a disclaimer, again, all of our webinars are for educational purposes and are not an endorsement to purchase or sell any particular security, and that we at Barchart recommend that you consult a qualified financial professional so you understand risk and that your ability or in your financial condition to bear such risk, and that past performance is not indicative of future results. Okay. All right, so let me go back to Barchart, and I'm going to go to the top stock page, and just in case you don't know where to find that, under the stock section down here where it says Barchart Top Picks page, here we are at the top stock pick page. And what this does is, what it's about, or what is it showing us here, is that at the end of the day, Barchart's proprietary algorithm runs the daily closing prices of stocks through 13 technical trading indicators. And if a new buy or sell signal is generated, then those candidates that triggered one of those signals are then subject to 5 further qualifiers, and leaving only a few high probability stocks that could be poised to be getting a profitable trend. Now, we're going to take a little deeper look at the 13 different indicators in a moment, but first I wanted to just make a note of the 5 qualifiers that we use as part of our top stock page. And from the bottom to the top, let me just slide this down a little bit. First of all, the stock has to have to trade for over 201 days, just enough so we have enough data to start generating some of these technical indicators. The other is that the price must be greater than $2. So you're not going to get a lot of penny stocks in here. Third, the win percentage for the signal, the technical indicator that had been triggered, must be greater than 30%. Now, this is based on a past 5 years performance. This could be for longs and shorts, winners and losers. Now, some of you might say, well, 30% is not a great statistic or percentage, but I could show you at another time. We could go into and talk about risk management and proper risk management, and that if I'm only right 30% of the time, I can still be a profitable trader using good risk management. But what it really this does, in other words, is did the signal create a positive result, and did it increase or have a greater historical probability? So that's where we get that 30%. The other one, number 4, would be 20-day historical volatility must be between 10 and 100%. And what this does is it eliminates a lot of crazy stocks, right? Stocks that have had meteoric rises in a short period of time, or stocks that have been part of a takeover or some kind of fundamental news, or maybe like a drug stock who had a drug that was approved or not approved or something to that effect, or a split or something. So kind of a normal range of volatility. And then finally, the most important qualifier: has the signal's 5-year gain outperformed the 5-year performance of the stock itself, right? And that's what this says here. This is the historical signal performance. And you can see for today's top stock pick, Mr. Cooper Group, that the technical indicator that is being triggered today, well, actually yesterday's closing price, the 20-50-day moving average crossover, has outperformed the stock over a 5-year period in terms of gains. It's gained 290% versus the stock itself. All right, and this is really important for us. We want to make sure that the technical indicator that we're using not only has a winning percentage, but gives us a greater profitability over these periods of times based compared to the stock itself. All right, so you see it says over the past 5 years, the buy signal, the 20-50-day MACD oscillator for Mr. Cooper Group has resulted in that 290% increase, compared to only about a 19.75 for the performance of the stock itself. Now, what else can we get from this historical page? Well, we can look down here. It says the signal gain is based on 13 trades and an average duration of 76 days, right? So this is kind of important for us as we look at these different indicators, and how many times has the signal been triggered, and what is that average duration? What we kind of want to look for is, first of all, number of signals, right? Is it a lot of signals, right? Or is it a few signals? Now, in this case, over a 5-year period, this particular signal has only been active or triggered 13 times. So if you think about it over 5 years, 13 times, what's that, about 3 times a year, a little bit less, right? So not a very active or dynamic signal. Now, if we look at later, we'll look at like a 20-day moving average. Some 20-day moving averages have over 100 different trade signals. A very dynamic, right? So when we look at these different indicators, how many times that are they triggered could tell us if they are more static or more dynamic. In other words, in terms of, let's say, momentum for our market. So ones that have a lot of trades, very vibrating market back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That might not be the ideal technical indicator we would look for to give us permission to purchase a stock. Maybe we want to find one that's a little bit more static. The other thing that we want to take away from here is the days of duration, right? The longer we're in a trend, the longer the duration, right? The longer the probability of that indicator, and then the longer the probability, the greater potential for profit. So again, we'll look at how many times the signal is indicated, but also we want to see how long does that hold, right? And that longer periods of time will give us greater profitability. All right. So what else can we get from this page, right? So there's a lot of information on this page. First of all, right over here, we have a description about what is Mr. Cooper Group. When this popped up today, I was like, wasn't there a TV show in the 80s, Hanging with Mr. Cooper or something? I was really kind of wondering what this was, but this one tells us it's some kind of service company that works with the single family residents. All right, so what is the business that the stock is in? Then it also tells us the date of the symbol. Now, for instance, this one says this new buy signal was from July 27th, the close of yesterday, and it gives you the entry price, $34.92, and it's based on that 20-50-day oscillator, right? What else does this page provide for us? Well, we can use a little bit of fundamental history as well. Some of the information that many folks like to look at: market cap, sales, PE ratios, earnings, volume. Notice also it also says Barchart's overall opinion. Now, Barchart's overall opinion currently for this stock is 88% buy, but there will be moments and times where you might see Barchart's opinion might be a very low percentage based on one of these indicators. Now, we've done webinars on bar chart opinion and strength and direction indicators that we have in our website. But what this is really telling us is it looks at all 13 indicators. And if I have a majority of them are in the buy, and for instance, this one says 88, and it's probably telling me that 11 out of the 13 indicators are indicating a buy signal. Now, sometimes some of our indicators will trigger onto the top stock page when the market has fallen or is bottoming, right? And so you might not get a lot of momentum indicators of a turn positive. They might be lagging, and so you might see a low percentage. So don't get confused that it's not an endorsement to buy or sell. It's just telling you that of the 13 indicators we have, 88% of them are signaling buy. All right, and we'll look a little bit deeper into that when we go to the indicators themselves. All right. The other information that I like on this page is our 52-week low and high and our 5-year low and high. Now, normally what I would endorse when I'm looking at top stock picks is I kind of like to find those stocks that are in the bottom half of my 52-week range or the bottom half of my 5-year range with positive price momentum or positive traction, right? Because those ones I think have a greater probability or more room for appreciation over that period of time. Now, our subject today is finding candidates that the price is at the high in their 52-week range or high in their 5-year date. And you can see that the Mr. Cooper Group would fall into that category, okay? Doesn't mean that it's not an opportunity. It's just, preference of different traders. All right. All right. So let me slide back up here. Now, before I move away from this page, I do want to show you that up here in this little box here, you can check this box and you'll receive an end of the day email that will send you the top stock pick, the #1 top stock pick. Later, when we look at all top stock picks, will be an opportunity to get that as an email as well. So notice over here on the right, as I click it off and on, it's telling me that I have now been subscribed for today's end of the report for the top stock pick. Okay, all right. So what else can we get from here? Now, actually, let's do this first. We do have a chart that will show you the technical indicator and the different buy or sell signals that it has produced. Now, a lot of times, again, when I've done webinars in the past on this particular page, is that folks will say, well, what is the time frame? So all the bars here are representative of daily bars. Now, we can change the duration of our daily bars from 1 month out to 3 years, but the time frame we cannot change on this particular chart. Notice also that you have these green and red boxes, these buys and sells signals. These are unique to this particular chart. These will not show up on your own charts, your own interactive charts or your technical charts, right? It's only for this chart here. Now, again, on this particular signal for Mr. Cooper, notice that it's showing us that those buy signals, those 13 that we've had in the last 5 years, and really you can see most of the performance on this one particular indicator probably came from this buy signal and that sell signal right there. That looks like where a lot of that potential gain has come. Now, if we look over the last 6 months, you know, we see that there's been 4 buy signals. So it's this indicator has been a little bit more active, but what is our stock has been doing? It's kind of just floating around, bouncing around these 2 moving averages, the 20-day and the 50-day moving average. Doesn't look like it's gaining momentum. To me, it looks like it's kind of trading sideways, but this still doesn't mean that this might not be a good candidate as it tries to test its most recent or its all-time highs. We'll have to look at other things, other indicators to give us that permission to take this trade. Remember, this is not an endorsement, it's just giving you permission to do your due diligence to look at other things or other trading strategies that you might employ to give you permission or manage your risk. Okay. So let's move away from here, and that's what I wanted to show you over here. Under the Barchart Top Stock Picks page, we also have a page called All Top Stock Pick page, and you can get there from this button as well. So it's the same spot. And what this does is it looks at all the top stocks that have performed or have triggered one of these indicators for today. Now, there is an opportunity that we can eliminate that 30% gain factor and click on this, and that will show you all the ones that have triggered the different indicators. So that will give you a greater field if you felt like you didn't get a lot of candidates. That's a way to increase the field. And also some of the stocks we will look at might not have been on this page, this gain page, but when we click this button, they would have been on the top stock page, and we'll look at that as well. All right. So here we can see that what are the different stocks that are made the top stock page and the signals that put them on the page. And so you can see Mr. Cooper right at the top. It says that it was the 20-50-day MACD oscillator, right? And again, just to remind you, anytime you see one of these data profiles and you see this little plus button, you can open that up, and this will give you kind of a little snapshot of data based on that individual stock. Again, what is our price action today? What is our volume, average volume, a little chart, any news or headlines that might be related to your stock, a quote of prices over the last 5 days. Again, here's our bar chart opinion. And so you can see that, you know, last week, our bar chart opinion was only 56%. In other words, we probably 7 out of the 13 were showing a buy signal. And you can see that over the last week and the last couple of days, Mr. Cooper has picked up a couple more buy signals, and to the point where now we're at 88%. Our performance report, technical analysis, some moving averages, and then some key stats and some more fundamental information. All right. If I click on the symbol, Mr. Cooper, again, it'll take me to Mr. Cooper's page, which will allow me to look at more information on Mr. Cooper. And here under the details section here, will give me the details of that particular trade. Again, the page that we just already looked at. But once I open up the details section on the all top stock page, all of the ones that are on this list, one of the cool things that we can do now, this is kind of similar to, if those of you are familiar with our flip charts, is this will allow me to go through all of them by looking at the details page, and that would be this arrow up here. And so I can go to Mr. Cooper, and then I can look at what's next on my list, and I can look at what's next on my list, and go through, looking at not only the symbol, the market, the chart, and the technical indicator that allow me to flip through all of these that are available to me for today. All right. So let's go back to Mr. Cooper on details. All right. And I'm going to click up here. This will take me to Mr. Cooper's page, which we said before, right? Now, one of the things I can do also is, as I'm going through this process, and if I like one of these stocks, or I wanted to, I'm putting them on, kind of want to put them in a watch list or a basket of stocks that I want to keep an eye on because I believe in the story that the indicators tell me, I can easily, at any point, there's a lot of different spots, add these to certain watch lists. In this case, I have a watch list of top stock picks that I start to gather together. I also have ones that are daily top stock picks. So I would, this one already made one of my top stock picks. So now I'm going to add it to my daily top stock picks. All right. All right. So we talked about those 13 different indicators, all right? So let me go and show you a couple ways how to look at them and where to find them. First of all, let's go to Barchart Opinion. And again, we've done a video on this one about how to look at strength and direction in Barchart Opinion. But again, here are the 13 different indicators that we are using. Some of them are short term, some of them are medium term, and some of them are longer term. And again, you can see that the majority of these ones are currently showing a buy signal, right? Of the 13, 11 of them are buy signal. That's what gave it that 88 rating, right? If I go over to this little chart picture here, if I click on that, right, in those individual indicators, it will take me to that chart that shows me the buy and sell signals and those different indicators. In case, again, Mr. Cooper's, this was the 20, 50-day MACD. All right. If I go to the dollar sign, right, now this will take me away from this page. It's going to take me to a trading strategies page. See what it says here, trading strategies page. And again, under our technicals, there's our bar chart opinion. Here's our trading strategies page. And what this does now is it will allow you to look at every individual technical indicator and look at the performance of the different signals that was given or signaled or triggered by those technical indicators. And again, remember what put Mr. Cooper on our list today was the 50-day oscillator. So I can go in here and look at the performance of this particular indicator, see if it fits the characteristics of my market. Is it one that I'm going to lean on? And again, we'll look at how many times that signal has been generated and the durations and the profitability. Now notice it does give me an opportunity to sort this by all trades, by buys and sells. Now this was a buy signal, so I'm going to do the buys. Again, there's those 14 signals over the last 5 years. And if I dive deeper into here, you can see that there was that signal that was indicated on the 27th. There was our entry price. We're still in this trade. That's what OTE stands for. That stands for open trade equity. Now, we've only been in this trade 1 day, but in that 1 day since that signal has been created, this particular technical indicator is up $72. Now, how do they get to this value, this hypothetical profit or loss of it? So what we do is we create a hypothetical position based on 100 shares of the closing price of the day of entry. And then the results would be the closing price, the signal day, the trigger for an exit. So when the goes from a buy to a sell in this case. So this one's still open, so it's still going. Okay, so again, one of the things we're going to look here on this page is, first of all, how many times has that signal been indicated, but also the duration. And remember, one of the things I said to you, those that have greater durations tend to have greater profitability. And you can see that, in this particular signal, we have 3 that really kind of stand out over 100 days: 290, 157, 143, and all of them turned out to have, a nice profit. Now, in terms of risk management, though, in terms about permission to give us permission to take a trade or to enter a trade, these signals are going to do that process for us. But I think if you're going to use good risk management, it's important that you use other techniques to give you permission to take profit, and especially when we're looking at some of more of these static moving averages, the 200-day moving or the 100-day moving average, because what could happen is, because they are lagging indicators, that price might move dramatically against you before that signal will signal an exit signal. So it's important for you to have rules of risk in terms of how to do exits. And again, I will note to one of our webinars, we did do a webinar on talking about exit signals. So I kind of think this is a really good example. And I really want to kind of walk through this one with you. For instance, here back in March, we got a buy signal and it stopped us out on April 26th. Now, we were in this trade for 56 days, but the result of that trade was only a positive $60. But at one point, the maximum profit on this particular signal was up to $440, right? So what had happened is, by the time the exit signal came, we gave back almost $380, right? The drawdown is telling you that how much did that price go against you before it got exited out. So you can see that there are times when you do get a bit of a drawdown. Again, this would be part of our risk management, right? Now, certainly, again, looking at where I might stop myself out, or how far I would take, how much of a loss I would take before I get out on it, instead of waiting for the signal itself. For instance, on this one here, right, would you stay in a trade that had lost almost 30%? Probably not, right? So using good risk management, we probably wouldn't have drawn down or lost that total $369. But let's look at this trade in terms of risk management. And there's our buy signal. Again, this is the date of entry. And you can see price did go up. Now, if I used good risk management, I probably would have set a stop a little bit higher than when the moving average crossed back over and stopped us out, or told us to get out of this particular trade. Now, just using some basic risk management skills, I could talk about, a trend line, right? Or maybe, this would be a significant low that I would be interested in watching if price got below this last pivot low, right? Or, where would we say that price broke this 20-day moving average, right? And you can see here price closed below the 20-day moving average right here. And each one of these different exit signals, risk management signals, would have allowed us to capture a little bit more profit on this potential trade and not just wait until the signal exits. So, and this is kind of important for you. Remember that the Top Stock Picks is giving you permission to do your due diligence to see if this is a stock that you want to take, but you still have to use risk management rules to help you manage profits and also manage losses, okay? So, point being here is that you can assess these signals and the price characteristics of these particular signals as to their stocks and try to find the ones that kind of give you those longer durations. But also what we can start to think about is, let me go back to indicators. Which one of these, or as these indicators are becoming triggered, what is the market telling us, right? Is the market bottoming? Is it telling me momentum is starting to change? Where are we in what we would call the cycle of price, right? Now, if we're talking about when prices are reaching all-time highs, what we would probably say that we're in an extended uptrend and we're probably at the higher point of the cycle of price. But when we look at technical indicators, when they start to change to the positive in terms of buy signals, right? What is the market telling us? So like the 200 days and the 100-day ones, those are more static. They're a little bit more lagging, right? Those are very slow momentum indicators. But if I'm looking at a 20-day moving average or a 50-day moving average, right? Those ones are a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more momentum featuring. In other words, a 20-day moving average is kind of telling me what the momentum of the market has been over the last month. So as the 20-day momentum is picking up, as it is increasing, what is it doing as it reflects with the other moving averages, the 50, the 100, and the 200-day? So let's go back to our top stock page. And this is really kind of how we're going to start putting our strategy together. This idea of what indicators are being triggered, and when I look at price action, what is the market kind of telling me? What is the momentum of the market? What is the technical indicator telling me? Now, what's nice about today is we do get a variety of different indicators. Mr. Cooper is a 20-50-day, right? Dollar General, though, is 100, 200-day. If I looked at that particular indicator, right, two very static moving averages, right? Price has already moved away, right? But this is just telling me that the momentum, these longer term indicators are moving to the positive. That is more supportive, not really a great indicator for a buy signal. Down here, if we look at is it Airmark? I think this is the airline service company that puts the food on the airlines, right? Here we can see that this 20-day moving average, again, more dynamic. How many trades? 71 trades. How many days has most of these trades been? Only about 15 days. A lot of short-term momentums, right? This might be a dynamic indicator, but what is the chart showing me here? Yes, price has turned above the 20-day moving average, but certainly the chart here is telling me that the story is maybe still lower. So I might need other indicators to allow me to take this trade, or I will have a very tight risk parameter based on this particular technical indicator. Yeah, if I'm going to go in to buy this stock, I'm going to have a very tight stop because of the fact that this looks like this one of these indicators that flips flops back and forth. Okay. All right. So one of the other nice features that Top Stock Picks allows us to do is we don't have to just look at today's top stocks. We do have an opportunity to go back in history and look at many days back. Now, we've been keeping this history since June of last year. So I'm going to just go back a few days. And one of the stocks that came up on the top stock radar was this one, Fever. And so let me go back, and this is Fever's top stock page. And you can see that on this date, July 26, it was the 50 and 100-day oscillator. So what we have is a medium-term indicator crossing over a longer term. So a little bit more dynamic, and again, more of a momentum indicator, right? A momentum indicator of our particular market. Now, what also I can do here is under the top stock alerts, if I go in here, I can open this up and I can see how many times has this particular stock been featured on top stock pages. Now, sometimes you might not find it on the page when you go to the date because it didn't reach that one critical qualifier of that 30% or market didn't excuse me, not the 30%, but the market gain compared to the stock itself. So again, you might add that to when you start looking for the number of times it fell on the list. But you can see here for Fever that since about July, actually going back to June 18th, what indicators have triggered and what is the market kind of telling us, right? First, right, our 20-day moving average crossed over our 50, our 200, and then our 100, right? So short-term momentum is picking up and it's starting to get above these more static or slower moving average. The market is gaining momentum. That's probably telling me that prices is bottoming. Then price got above the 50-day moving average. Then price got above the 200-day moving average. Then price got above the 150-day moving average, right? Gaining greater momentum as it's swinging above these more static moving averages. Then it got above the 20-day moving average, right? And then we got the 50 above the 200 and the 50 above the 100. So again, greater and greater momentum. So this would definitely be a stock that we'd be interested in as it's reaching its potential or high in its price cycle, or in this case, potentially taking out a new high. All right, so let's go to our chart.
Hey, John, can I
Yeah,
ask you for a favor, please?
sure.
Chris is asking me, he's kind of wondering, okay, you're showing a go-to box, like go-to interactive chart, go-to top trade alerts. He's kind of lost here, right. So what I was trying to, or was going to explain to him via the chat window is that you have your side navigation collapsed, and you do that simply by clicking that little blue, that little blue arrow. It collapses it, it expands it. When it's collapsed like this, the side navigation, you'll see it in that go-to selector, right? So now if you go ahead and expand your menu, open up that left navigation menu, you'll see that go-to menu is replaced by the side navigation. So just a little tip. Okay, you can go ahead. Thanks.
Hey, Chris, the reason why I do this is, and it makes sense now, right? Because it just gives me a bigger feel, a lot more to see, which is kind of cool, which is also a lead into what we're going to do here is if I come over here and click on this little pop out and I'm on my interactive chart, what this does is it really blows up my interactive chart and allows me to look at my chart with, a lot more right? It just kind of makes it easier. It's easier on the eyes, all right? All right, so let's think about a strategy to allow us to take trades or look at candidates that we've gleaned from the top stock picks that are making attempts at their most recent highs or at their all-time highs, okay? So on this one here, first of all, the green lines that I have drawn, these will not show up on your charts based on what I'm going to tell you. I've drawn these myself. These are the dates when this particular stock hit the top stock page based on one of those technical indicators. So you can see that right here, right here, right here, and then you can see in the last week, we've gotten 4 of different indicators that have been active. And so the market is definitely picking up momentum. So what I've done is I created a template, and in this particular template, I've created a 20-day moving average, a 50-day moving average, 100-day moving average, and a 200-day moving average. And if you don't know how to add studies or moving averages to any of your charts, you can just come up into studies here. You can type in the study that you're looking at, or you have a library of hundreds of different studies to pick from. And you can see that I have currently the 20, the 50, the 100, and the 200. And when you look up here, you can see my 20 is represented by the red one, the 50 is by blue, the 100 is purple, and the 200 is black. Okay, so let's go back and look what is happening, right? So here's the strategy. I'm going to lay it out for you in terms of what I want to do when my market is making attempts at new highs or at all-time highs. So criteria number 1, or condition number 1, has price corrected from a recent high or an all-time high or a year-to-date high or a 52-week high, right? And so, a lot of times when we look at these corrections, a healthy correction is probably somewhere around 10 to maybe 15%. Now, from this all-time high down to this correction, this is almost a 50% correction. So I'm going to make this stock jump through a few more hoops because it corrected almost 50%. But from this recent high, which is related to these highs, that's what this blue line represents here, this correction here looks like about 10%, right? Maybe a little bit more, but about that 10%, okay? So has price corrected from an all-time high or a recent high? Second, did price test a significant long-term moving average? Now, from the all-time high, did it test a significant moving average? Yeah, it tested the 200-day moving average, all right? From this recent high, did it test a significant moving average? Yeah, it tested that 200-day moving average again. All right. Once that test has happened, did price hold? Did it gain back momentum? And did it retest one of those moving averages? And so you can see here that we did regain the 200-day moving average. It came back and tested it. Tested again, and then moved away, all right? Now, this is important. If we think about trend analysis, right, what is happening here? So we have made a low, we made a high, we made a low, right? And now we're making another high. So we're making higher lows and higher highs. That is a sign of an uptrend. Okay, the fourth condition is the short-term indicator, the short-term moving average, turned positive over the long-term moving averages? And you can see here, we did see a crossover of our 20-day moving average above both our 100 and 200. Excuse me, this was our 50 and our 200. Here's our 100-day here. So we are getting a positive crossover, a positive short-term momentum. Again, at this point, this would have been giving you an indication that you're probably in the beginning of a new uptrend. And then finally is when the price indicator, right, the trigger that put us on the list, is price poised to take out the high? In other words, the recent high or the all-time high. So on this one here, yeah, we got a positive indication. We got the short term to cross over the longer term, but is price poised to take out the high? It's probably a little bit too far away. Notice that when we came back here and we retested that 200-day moving average, when price got back on this indicator, right, here it is on this one, and I drew a line here. It's a little hard to see here. Let's see if I can blow it up a little bit for you. Right? There it is right there. The distance these two candles are from the high is inside of 5%. That's telling us we're getting ready for price to break out or getting the attempt to break out of that all-time high. Again, positive momentum, and now we're within a striking distance of that all-time high. And then you can see on this one, you know, hindsight is 2020, but we did break out above the most recent high. So this would have been a confirmation for you to take a long position. Now, you could have gotten long at any point in the times when you've gotten one of these indicators. You could have had your own risk management skills to let you take here. But here's where we can give ourselves permission to buy a stock that is making a new high, right? Something that a lot of us are reluctant to do. So in this case, for this one, we would have gotten that signal, and now here we are. You know, it's kind of nice that we're seeing this today. Now, full disclosure on this one, you know, this one has been on my radar for a few days, because you can see how many times it's hit on the top stock page. And what I did on this one was, you know, a $250 stock is an expensive stock as an investment, right? That's $25,000 for just 100 shares. So I'm really kind of just playing the momentum here. So I'm going to play the momentum by playing options. And so the strategy that I employed on this one was I did a 250, 280 call, vertical call spread. And the reason why I picked 280 is there's a big gap here, right? There's not a lot from here to slow down the market. Now, obviously, if we believe in this trend, we might go back and test the all-time highs. But I'm just going to play the momentum for now and see what I can do. Now, I put this trade on a couple days ago. I think it cost me about $8 to put it on the options, and today it was trading close to about $11.50 or $12. So it's already starting to play out. Okay. All right. So that's fever. Now, again, this one is not testing an all-time high. It's just testing a recent high. But let's go to a market that is testing or had tested an all-time high. Okay. And Amazon, all right? Again, under our top trade alerts, if we go on here, we can see that Amazon over the last month or so has started to pick up some positive momentum in terms of these technical indicators, right? 20-day moving average, 20-day over the 100-day. That happens to be one of my personal MACDs, and the 20 over the 50. Now you can see that on July 20th, we did get the 20-day moving average, gave another buy signals. Again, another reinforcement of short-term positive momentum. All right. So let's go to interactive charts. And again, I'm going to blow this one out. And again, you know, hindsight's 2020 and all that, but let's follow the logic on the game plan that we're going to use. All right. So what was our first criteria? We said, has price corrected from a recent all-time high or year-to-date high? Yeah. Well, this was Amazon's all-time high just a few months ago, right? Has it corrected? Yeah, it has corrected. This case about 12%. Did it test a longer term moving average? Yeah, it sure did. It tested all three of them, 50, the 100, and the 200 day, right? Did it gain back? Yes, it did. Did it retest? Yes, it did, right? What's our next one? Has the short-term moving average turned positive over the longer terms? And yeah, that's exactly what had happened on this day. Notice this is the first day that it hit our top stock page, right? That's what this green line represents that I've drawn for you, okay? So the 20-day crossed over, looks like the 100-day, right? One of my favorite indicators, all right? And then price went up and got close to testing that high. Now, here we are at this point where we hit the page, the top stock page, and are we poised to take out the high? Yeah, we are. But again, I still need risk management rules to allow me to take this trade, right? I probably want to see, in this case, Amazon close above this high for I give myself permission. I know that's a hard concept to think about, that I feel more comfortable buying at a higher price than I do buying at a lower price at this moment in time. Now, what happened on this one is it came up and we tested the high, and then Amazon backed off, okay? Now, that's not a bad thing, right? Now, notice that it had backed off right back to where we had this last impulse that just before we tested that high, and then price stabilized, and then, whoops, went back to go and test. Now, why I show this one here is this is a chart pattern that I want you guys to kind of start watching for. This is called a cup and handle chart pattern. Here's our cup, that bottoming action as we are testing those longer term moving averages as our momentum is changing. And then here's the handle, right? That staging or that consolidation or that storing of energy just prior to when the market is going to break out. This is a very bullish price pattern. And then boom, oops, there's our breakout. So, and my rules here we got a gap breakout above our recent high, in this case, our all-time high. And this is what we call a gap and go trade. Now, so for those of you who know also, I'm also an impulse correction trader, right? I wait for the impulse and I look for the correction. Notice that price did come back to where we broke out from the all-time high. And this is old school technical analysis, right? Old resistance becomes new support. And then price gained momentum again when it got back above the 20-day moving average. And now we're kind of just floating around here. Now, moving forward, can I buy as this price goes above here? Certainly I could, but does it fit my my conditions? Well, did it retreat from the high? Yeah, it did, right? Did it test a more significant moving average? No, it did not. So I wouldn't feel comfortable adding to a new position in Apple. I would ride out the position I currently have, and I would wait for a better opportunity to buy, either a correction a little bit deeper down, or wait for it to impulse again above this most new all-time high and then look for a correction, all right? All right, so I want to show you another market that is very popular that went through the same cycle, and I'm going to get to that, but I do see a lot of questions that popped up. So, Gene, let me take a pause here because we are getting closer to the top of the hour. I do want to go through a couple of questions to make sure I'm answering them.
Okay, and while you're looking at those questions I've passed along, just to let everybody know, if you are not a Barchart Premier member, the pages that John was showing you earlier today, the top stock picks pages, are part of a Premier membership, and we do offer a free 30-day trial. So there's no reason not to try us out, not to take a look at the things that John was pointing out on these top stock picks pages. Maybe sign up for the end of day emails so you can start taking a list at, or taking a look at some of the things that are on these daily lists. Just get some new trading ideas. And as you can see from John's prep, you do have to really look at these markets and really analyze these things that are popping up on the list. It's not that, you know, the top stock pick you should immediately just go out and place a trade on. There's a lot of things that you need to consider, and Barchart's got the tools to allow you to consider, as John's been showing you today.
Exactly. Excellent point, Gene. Again, Top Stocks is just giving us permission to do that diligence and do that risk management. We just don't take the trade, right? There's no reason to do that. We want to set apart a plan, a trade plan that allows us to take these trades, right? Whatever that trade plan might be. What I'm showing you today is a trade plan that is based on a formula where market is testing an all-time high. What conditions do I want to see as my price is testing one of these recent or all-time or year-to-date or 52-week highs? What conditions do I want to see before that happens to allow me permission to take those trades? Okay, so a couple questions that I see. Eric asks, the buy signal from the previous day was, what is the lag on the signal and buy price? Again, Eric, it's based on the closing price of the day of that the close closed above one of these moving averages or one of these moving average crossovers, right? So think about it. If Top Stock page is created after the close and you get the signal and then you get the email at night, and now it's the next day, really you are kind of behind the eight ball. And again, why it's important to understand risk management, you know, because you're not going to take the trade. You're not going to get in at the closing price of yesterday. I mean, you could tomorrow get into that price or a cheaper price or a higher price, but there is a day lag, right? Dorian asks, could these stocks be overbought or oversold in terms of RSIs and stochastics and MACDs? Yeah, that again, Dorian, that could be part of your process, right? But if you follow the criteria that I'm laying out here, usually what you're going to find in terms of a lot of these markets, now I will change my template here. I do have a stochastics and momentum, RSI indicator, right? And what I'm going to show you is during this process right here, you can see that we had rising RSIs and rising stochastics, and they hadn't really gotten overbaked until we got after we had made a new all-time high, okay? So good question on part of Dorian there. Wayne asks, why is the win percentage so low? Again, Wayne, it's just a threshold that we're going to use. And again, if we have a 30% winning percentage, we can still be profitable if we use good risk management, okay? All right, so here's Apple. And again, let me walk you through this process, all right? All right, and so here over to the left is our all-time high, right? And here's our significant recent high, right? And again, what was our first criteria? Did price back off from the all-time high or the recent high and test a significant moving average? And you can see in both cases, they did test that that 200-day moving average. Now, I wouldn't be interested in buying Apple down here because I still haven't gotten that positive momentum, right? Here where we've made a series of higher lows and higher highs, I'm looking for that correction to get back in. Again, so did the price come back and test that significant moving average? Yeah, it has. Has it retested it and held it? Yes, it has, right? Has our momentum, right? Notice here, this is the blue line here. Here's purple line, here's our 50 days crossing our 100-day. That's what made Apple get on our list on that particular day, right? Is our momentum changing, right? And you can see the 20-day moving average is flattening and changing, right? Now, the next criteria is the 20-day, the shorter term moving average, crossing the higher time frame, higher moving averages. Again, here you can see the 20 is crossing the 100. Again, one of my personal favorites. And then again, right, here's where the 20 is crossing the 50-day moving average, positive forward momentum. All right. Now, what's our final criteria? Is price poised within 5% of the recent high to take out that high? And on this one, when we got the signal, close was 34 and the most recent high was 36.5, 36.75. So yeah, that was definitely within range. And then on this signal, was that within range? Yeah, certainly was. Now, this is a very small handle in a cup and handle price pattern formation. But again, I still might need to wait for price to get above my all-time high. That might be my last risk management rule. And there we got where we got a close above, right? All the criteria have been met, right? We are taking out that high and boom, there we go, off to the races, okay? Off to the races. Now, moving forward with Apple, right? Has it backed off from a recent high? Yeah, it has, but it hasn't tested one of these longer term momentum indicators, right? So again, it doesn't meet that all-time high criteria. If I was still long Apple, I'd just still be in this position, hanging out, waiting for something to happen, either for a price to go back up, or on my risk management, we'll probably have a stop, probably off of this most recent higher low of my uptrend. Now we do have a lower high, which could be the signal of a change in trend, but I'm going to stay in this trade until we break down here. Or if I'm waiting for a buying opportunity, I'm going to wait for that retracement, maybe back to where we were at the old all-time highs, and where my moving averages are starting to catch up with price. Okay. All right, so I am up at the top of the hour. I see that I've gone a little bit over, but I did want to give you one more example very quickly. And this one is on our list today. This was that Dollar General that was that 100-day crossing the 200-day. And again, did price correct from a recent high? Yes. Did our hold our momentum, right? Higher lows, beginning of an uptrend. Every time we held one of these numbers, the next impulse regained another moving average, regained another moving average, regained another moving average. And where did our short-term momentum cross over our longer-term indicators, right? Well, at this point, are we poised to take out this high? Yes, we are, but we might not be within 5%. In this case, we're probably just on the edge of it. But again, here where we did break out and price has gone away. Now, is this an opportunity for us to buy from here? No, because we haven't retraced, we haven't retested a high, we're not gaining that momentum. Now, this could continue to go higher. That's probably what's going to happen with this stock, but our buying opportunity probably has passed. I'm going to have to wait for a better setup, okay? Proper risk management. All right, so let me just go back to here, and I'm just going to quickly go through this. So all-time high candidate conditions. All right, number one, has the recent price corrected from an all-time high or a year-to-date high? Again, could be a significant high, let's say in the last 3 months or last couple months. Did price test a significant long-term moving average? Again, those 100 days and 200 days, right? Did price hold, gain, and or retest those moving averages, right? Those first legs of an uptrend, higher lows, right? Higher low, higher low, higher low, impulse, higher high. Have the short-term or medium-term moving averages turn positive over the long term, right? That positive momentum. One of my favorites is the 20 over the 100. Jim Van Merton, who does our chart of the day, his favorite is the 50 over the 100. So again, positive short-term momentum versus longer-term momentum, okay? And again, the final criteria, when I am notified of one of these indicators that put it on the list, the top stock pick list, is price poised to take out the high? Is it within 5% of that high? Again, I'm still going to use my risk management techniques, but this now puts this on the hot list. This is telling me my market has momentum, technical indicators are all pushing forward, and that we could see prices going. Now, there might be a catalyst, right? Could be earnings, could be dividends, could be a news story, could be the Fed, could be multiple, it could be money flow, it could be sector rotation, right? It could be a lot of other catalysts, but the technical indicators is just one of the pieces of the puzzles that we're going to use to give us permission to do our due diligence, okay? All right. Gene, because I'm a little bit over, but anyhow, I hope you guys like that. I really feel that this is a great little technique, little good strategy, and really it plays really well with our top stock picks. All right, so for next week is we're going to talk about, I had to think about this for a second, gee, sorry. They just come faster and faster week by week, you know. We're going to look at short strangles, right? We're just going to continue on our options page. We're going through all of these one by one. So we're into short strangles. And what short strangles are is it's a more advanced strategy for more advanced traders, but as an opportunity to create income from, let's say, a stock that has come from a volatile price cycle, maybe in an earnings cycle, or maybe it's been stuck in the mud, it's been range bound, it's not doing anything, and you're not feeling like you're not getting anything out of the stock. It's a way to drive a little bit income from some range bound stocks or stocks that whose volatility might be decreasing because it's come from a volatile time, again, maybe right after earnings. And so I think you'll enjoy that one. Anything you want to add, Gene, before we quit?
Just that there are 2 previous webinars that you did on top stock picks. It's on the webinars archive page, which John is going to right now. And if you scroll down under the Premier membership tools, there's 2 of them right there: daily trading ideas, top stock picks, and how to use top stock picks. That's a little bit more basic than what John got into today. Other than that, everybody, you'll get a recording of this webinar a little bit later on today via email. So watch your inbox for that.
Thanks, Gene, and thanks for making the session great. I want to wish everybody the best of health, safe travels, and the good of all trading.
Thank you, everybody, and we appreciate you coming to barchart.com. Hope to see you again soon. Bye now.